Hello, my name is Gary Antonick. I write the Number Play blog for the New York Times. This is my first G4G. It has been an awesome several days. It's great to meet so many people I've only known by an email address, and it's been a terrific experience. I'd like to give, in this short talk, a brief introduction to some incredible things that have been recently discovered in neuroscience that I think strongly support a shift that will probably occur over the next decade or so in education. And Martin Gardner, the idea of puzzles, the aha is going to be at the center of that shift. Let me jump into a sequence of numbers. So the question is, what comes next? You can go through a calculation if you know these are in hertz and they are successive notes. If you know that the first note of the next octave of whatever you're dealing with in a range is double that particular octave, you can calculate that 524 will be that next frequency beginning the next octave, or you can come about it in a different way. If you translate each of these frequencies into a vibration, you would get something like so that last note, just feel that transition between the 7th and 8th note. So what I think is amazing in that, and we are actually biologically, we have a stamp in our DNA. We and other species actually have that sense of an octave, and it pulls us to the answer in a way that is different and complements the idea of computing it. It gives us a deeper feel, a deeper connected understanding of what that number means. And when you get a bunch of people together in a room who each have their own way of understanding a problem, you get a kind of a thriving discussion that ends up pushing way past a sort of superficial symbolic understanding or depiction of a problem to something that actually means something. So every week in Number Play, the Number Play blog comes out with a puzzle. Check it out if you haven't, by the way. It's search Number Play online. You'll pull up a puzzle every Monday that's discussed throughout the week. Typically the puzzle is very simple and is solved by people ranging from high school kids to professional mathematicians. Each is bringing a different perspective, whether it's looking for a general solution, a graphical solution, some weird exception, and over the course of 4 or 5 days, you get something like this. The vertically listed are all the participants in last week's discussion. It's about 50 or so people leaving 130 comments. The comments are shown in dots. This comes up as part of the blog. The comments are shown in dots over the course of the week. The x-axis is days. Each comment varies in size with the number of words that were left. Dark circles indicate the number of times other readers sort of clicked recommends. Lines are references. And you get a sense that you get a very deep conversation, a real exploration of a problem. So what is going on here? Martin Gardner said that the best way to really have people sort of take in knowledge is to create a kind of hook. And this hook is what I want to talk about. It turns out the brain used to be conceived by neuroscientists as a set of layers. Maybe one model was, and you learn this by dissection, right? You got a reptilian stem, a kind of mammalian emotional center, and this computer on the top. Recently, and this supports the work of Daniel Kahneman and others in psychology, recently there's been a different model that's emerging. There's not this computer on the top that does all the deciding and the emotional part handles our love life. Instead, this lower part of our brain handles pretty much everything, makes all of our decisions, when we get up, what we eat for breakfast, where we eat. It translates this into a sort of linguistic signal that we interpret as our thinking, but really it's just a label for what's already been decided. This kind of thinking occurs in our fast, the sort of what Daniel Kahneman would call the fast part of our brain. It's a set of not completely logical, but overlapping redundant systems that our lower brain makes sense of by making sure there's coherence. Here's an example. If you're faced with a choice between 2 burgers and one says 80% lean and the other is 20% fat, you might say, you know what, I am a lean kind of I'm a lean kind of person. I'm going to go for the lean burger. This is Daniel Kahneman's example. We tend to decide this way, making these quick decisions. You could slow down and do the math and say they're the same. But you could also do the math in a way by saying there's something funny going on here. These burgers look pretty darn similar, and even though there's a difference in label, I've got a conflict. This is actually going to be worked out by something called the cingulate. It's a center of the brain that is an intersection of other areas, sits right above the corpus callosum between the two hemispheres. It's a small region. The back of it is in charge of internal focus. The front of it handles conflict. So what it does is if it gets two conflicting signals, it creates a sense of tension, and it will resolve this tension either by ignoring it. If you're saying, I don't have time to deal with this burger thing, I'm just going to pick one of the options. Or it will say, I do have time. But in any case, it starts with a sense of this is weird, first of all, right? But there's two kinds of weird. One is, that is weird. Or, that is weird, right? And how do you generate this positive sense of weird? It's if you can have this tension and accompany it with a positive emotion, either this is awesome, somebody's going to figure it out, watch this unfold, or I have the capability to figure this out. You're going to be moving toward this thing that's weird, and the lower part of the brain is going to resolve it. It's going to keep creating different representations and matching them until this tension is eliminated. So the best way, I think, to truly learn, and I think this is going to be happening more and more over the next decade, is to get back to crystallizing the essence of a problem in a way it has meaning, and clearly creating a gap or contradiction. And to do that, jokes, riddles, puzzles is a terrific pathway. So to conclude, thank you very much.